There you go. All right. I don't know if we have any Muslim in tonight's daf, but it'll have to suffice. Okay, we got up to the Mishnah on Yudam Beis, right? As a shtick of warning, this next bunch of blood are not the most exciting. It's a little bit dry. It's about shtaras and avodim and kinyonim and all that. Yeah. So okay, Zog the Mishnah. Yeah. Yudam Beis. Are you ready? Yes. Okay. So kol shtaras ha'olim barakoy shalev digachom. All shtaras that come out of Arkois again means courts of goyim. Yeah, meaning they're set things. So any star that comes out of even though the signatures, the edim are goyim, ksherim, they're still kosher. Right? We'll see in the Gemara why that is. Except for so basically, if we have a star from Bezdin that says I owe somebody money and it's goyim that signed on it, we're going to say it's legitimate, except not by a get for woman and not for a get to free avodim. Even gittin for women and avodim are kosher, right? Ella bisman shenasu behedjit. That's when they said in the Besmedrish that's what Leihuskuru means. Right? When they said in the Besmedrish or in the yeshivas, whatever it was, that that it was puzzle, that's talking about where it wasn't written in a legitimate Bezdin. It was just signed by fly-by-nights, right? Fine. Yes, we have to see also what he means by af eluk sherin, right? Meaning what exactly he's referring to. Okay, so let's see the Gemara. So kapasik patani, right? So the Mishnah paskin and said loishna machar loishna matana, right? Meaning the Mishnah just said any star that comes out of a goyish bezdin, right? So that means it's whether it's a star mechira or a star matana. Star mechira is when you write a star. We do that with the mechiras chametz. You write a star that somebody bought something off of somebody else. And a star matana is that instead of actually giving the present, you give a star that says, I'm giving this present. So bishlam mecher, so that's good as mecher. We can understand. When you give money, right? I mean, when you give money in front of the people, the judges, who the kana, that's really when the kinyan happens. The star raya ba'almo, and the star is just a proof, right? Really, when does a mechira take place? When you have a star, when you give something over to somebody. So when he picks it up, it becomes his. Oh, you write a star, that's just to prove. That's a huge show. Like, by the way, I bought this from him. Because if he didn't give money, nobody's gonna sign on a document that says that it was sold if it really wasn't true. Right? Nobody's going to ruin their reputation and write something on a star that something was bought if it's not true. Elamatana. So that's why we trust a star written by that was signed by a guy. But matana, star matana, b'may kakani. How is he kind of it? La b'hayshtara, isn't it with this star? B'hayshtara chasba ba'almahu. This star is considered garbage. Well, it really literally means it's a piece of clay. Because a lot of times, but it means it's garbage. Meaning, the star is really not kosher. It's signed by goyim. Since when do we trust goyim? Right. So again, if it was a star mechira, so the mechira was legitimate mechira, and the star is just to prove it. Okay, so then goyim sign on that. But a star matana is a legitimate star. So then, how can they be edim? So Amar Shmuel. Dina the machusa dina, right? A major major yisoid, which is dina de machusa dina. What goyim have halachas, so we have to keep them. So since the matana, since the present and the purchase, according to legal law, was considered a matana and a kinyan, so therefore Jewish law is going to go along with the non-Jewish law. Right? That's one teretz. We'll get back to that in a minute. We say that except for kitei nashim. Right? Meaning not get me except for kitei nashim, anything ki kitei nashim, anything similar to kitei nashim, meaning anything that's a legitimate shtar, right? Meaning anything that's a matana, anything you really need the shtar for, that is considered those shtars will not work. It's only a shtar that happens to be a raya or something like that, then that you do. So now dina de machusa dina. So according to this, right, when you have kinyanim that work according to non-Jewish law, so then Jewish law has to abide by it, right? Okay, so does that mean you're not allowed to speed? Right? If you speed, so then you're being over on dina de machusa dina, right? That's A. Also, you have a different issue, which is there dina de machusa dina in the United States? Right? Because it could be that the whole din of dina de machusa dina is you're agreeing when there's actually one how do you say it? One ruler. Right, but here when it's a democracy, it could be that it's nobody's malchus, and it could be that there's nobody is in charge. So therefore, it's not necessarily we say dina de machusa dina. Okay, those are some of the sugis that come on over here. Okay. Shimon Omer af eluk sherim. Shimon says even these guys are kosher, right? Even these shtaras are kosher. Right, so ninhu. Right, so how could you say that a get is kosher written by goyim? Right, if they can't be good eidim, so how can you say that their get is a good get? Yeah, Amar Reb Zeira, Yarad, Reb Shimon, the Shitase Reb Elazar. No, because Reb Shimon goes with the sheet of Reb Elazar. We had this 2 days ago. Damar Eidem Mesira Karti. He holds that's Eidem Mesira, right? We know that there's 2 sets of Edom that you have by every get. Yeah, well, it doesn't have to be 2 different sets. It could be the same set of Edom with the 2 times that there's Edom. There's on the signing on the get, and then there's 2 Edom that have to see the get being handed over from the man to the woman, or from the man to the shliach, or from the shliach to the woman. But they have to see the get being handed over. So Reb Shimon in our Mishnah, who says that a get is acceptable, is going according to the Shita Rebbe Elazar, who says that you need Eidem Mesira, and that's the main Eidem. So if the main Eidem on a get are those that are the ones that have to watch you give over the get, so then who cares who signs on the get? Right? You could have 2 clowns sign on the get, which I guess you are when it's goyim are signing on it, because the main thing that's causing the creases is the people that are watching the get being given over. And you have that, because that we're assuming you're going to have Yidden. So Gemara asks, but Rebbe Elazar says, and we had this a few blot ago, when it's very nice that he doesn't care about the Eidin because you need to watch it being given over. But if it's Mezuyif Mitoicha, he holds its puzzle. Meaning, yes, you don't need to approve the Eidim, they don't have to be tzaddikim, etc. But if they're puzzle Eidim, then that's still going to make the get puzzle. Meaning he's saying, even though you really don't need Eidim on the star, so if you don't on the gets, if you don't have Eidim Givaldik, fine, it will still work because we have Eidim on the handoff, right? But if you do have Eidim and they're puzzle, Rabbi Elazar says they're going to be puzzle. So here you have Eidim that are goyim, right? So even though we're saying we don't need them, but Lamai said they're puzzle. On to today's daf now. The Shemus Muvhakim. We're talking about where the names are muvak, which we had also 2 days ago. They're names that are Vadai Goyim names, and they're not used by Yidden. Right? So Mamela, since they're Vadai used by Goyim, so the Chachamim were not worried that you may use, because it's very easy to take the same Eidim that sign on the get and use them to watch the handoff. Right? It would be very easy. So the Chachamim were afraid. So Rabbi Elazar wasn't concerned with this, but the Chachamim were afraid that if you're going to use Goyim on the get, then you might end up using Goyim as the Eidim and the Masira. Right? But if the Goyim's names are if the names on there are so clearly Goyim, then therefore there's no concern with that, because nobody's going to make a mistake and use those Eidim, because maybe those Eidim are Yidden. Meaning, if they were names that Goyim use and Yidden use together, right? Like Joel, right? Chassidim like to use English names when they do business, right? So they call them Joel, right?
About Wolf.
Wolf. Goyim use the name Wolf.
Yeah, you have German names, Wolf, Velvel, Wolf.
No, I know, but I'm saying that I don't know how many Goyim go with that.
You have some Nazis and Jews have similar names.
That's true. I get, that's
right?
True. In the old days, Wolf,
right?
Wolf, yeah.
Wolf.
So, but here we're talking about where it was so clearly a Goyish name, so therefore there was no concern, right? And therefore there was no concern you're going to use those Eidim, yeah. Meaning, if the guy that signs on the get, you say, oh, his name is Joel, right? Using Joel as an example. Right? You say, oh, okay, could be he's a Yid. Let me use him also for the Masira. And now it ends up being a guy, then even according to Rabbi Elazar, it's possible. But if it's his name is Jesus, let's say, right? There, nobody's going to say, oh, Jesus, you signed your name on the get, let me use you to the Masira. Nobody's going to think that guy's a Yid, right? So therefore, there's no Gezer, right? Okay.
So, what about Rabbeinu Peter we had in Tosis like a few blad ago?
Oh, right. So that was I totally missed that Tosis, but Gershon brought that up.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know, Taka. So that might not be a shameless Hamuvhakim, right? Peretz you still go with Peter?
Not really, but that was a Bobby Carambo's special.
So I'm saying I think enough Yidden go with Peter. That would not be a shameless muvak. I don't think you'd have to have a decision on every name, whether it's a muvak dika goyish name. Right? Let's see. The Gemara says some examples. Hey, hidami shameless muvhakim. What's a case of shameless muvhakim? Amar Papa kagoyin hormuz. Vavodina, Bar Shivsai, Bar Kidri, Bati, Nokim, and Oina. Right? So those people are, if those names are for sure Goyim. So therefore, since they're for sure Goyim, nobody's gonna use them to watch the handing over of the get. So Gemara says, okay, what about if it's not a name that's not muvik, like you said, Yitzi, like what about Peter, right? So then it wouldn't work. Meaning even Reb Shimon would hold that the get is puzzle. So Yahi had the Tani Seifa, and the Seifa wanted to differentiate in cases and say when we trust the guy and when we don't. So what did it use? The Seifa said that this is all when it comes from a legitimate bezdin. But when it comes from a minor bezdin or just people that just got together and made a little temporary bezdin, it doesn't work. Why do you need to go on to that case? Why don't you just differentiate in a different case? But medvar murim b'shemus muvhakim. When do we say that the get works from the goyim? That's when it has a very clear non-Jewish name. Aval shemus she'ein muvhakim loy. But if it's shemus that are not muvhak, so they're not. Yeah, so why don't you just, again, the Gemara is just asking sort of technical question. Why, if you're trying to teach in the Mishnah a case where we trust the Goyim signatures and a case where we don't trust it, so why do you have to go to a whole new situation of if it was signed in a bezdin that wasn't a legitimate bezdin, it doesn't count? Just say that if the names are not clearly Goyish names, it doesn't work. So when it says, no, yes, that's what it says. When does the Mishnah say that you trust the non-Jewish, what do you call it, non-Jewish thing? That's by Shemus Muvhakim. Oh, B'Shemus She'en Muvhakim, B'Shemus that are not Muvhak, Nasa Kamisha Nasu B'Hedjir, we make it like it was done by Hedr, Upsulin, and it's puzzle. So really the Mishnah was saying that. People is saying, Seifa son the Gittin Mammon. The Seifa is not talking about Gittin Noshin. It's talking about Gittin a Mammon. Like again, we said that the word get really just means a contract. Right? When wasn't mentioned in the yeshivas, Gittin a moment that apostle, only when they were made by a hedyet. So meaning it's not a kasha. Not like what I'm saying, it's not a kasha from get nashim, because he wasn't talking about get nashim. He was talking about financial gittin. Fine. Okay. So then we continue. Tanya. Amar Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Yosi, Kach Amar Rabbi Shimon l'Chacham b'Tzidam, Loi Nachliku Rabbi Kiva Chachamim. Rabbi Kiva and the Chacham didn't have machlokes al kol hashtaros ha'olim ba'akodesh shel avdei Chachamim. Any shtaros that were written in a court of goyim. Shava pisha chasmeiha and avdei Chachamim, even though they were signed by goyim, ksherim they're kosher. But people get a nashim shechuri avadim, and even get a nashim shechuri avadim like nechliku ela b'zman shenasu behedyet. That's only machlokes when it was done behedyet. Rabbi Kiva machshir. Rabbi Kiva says it's kosher. But Chachamim Paisel and the Chachamim said it's possible chutz mi gitei nashim shechuri avadim, except for gitei nashim shechuri avadim. Shimon Gamliel loimer af elu ksherim b'makom shein Yisrael chaysmin. These are also kosher, only if in a place where they don't let Yidden sign. But if it's a place where you didn't sign, then you cannot use a guy, right? Meaning, because it's again a gezerah d'Rabbanan. Yeah, because if you're going to use goyim, you were afraid they're going to use the goyim for Edom Mesira. But so therefore, it's only going to work if it's in a place. We're only going to allow goyim signatures in a place where they don't allow Yidden to sign. So they don't allow Yidden to sign. So then you got to do something. So you have to have a goy sign, right? So the Gemara says, okay, so Makam Shein Yisrael Chaysman Nami Ligza. Why don't you make a gezerah in a place that Yidden can't sign? Atu Makam Shein Yisrael Chaysman. We said that the only time that you're going to trust a guy's signatures on a get is if it's in a place where they don't let Yidden sign. Okay, so why don't you make a gezerah that you might end up allowing goyim to sign even in a place where they let Yidden? Why don't you make a gezerah one or the other? So when it says Shema b'Shema machlif, you can take one name and mix it up with another name. Asra ba'asra le machlif. You're not going to mix up cities, right? Meaning, one second. It's very hard to know, like, oh, 1 second, was this name is Vadai a guy's name? Is this name Vadai not Vadai a guy's name? Like, which one is it? Right? So therefore those two can get confused. But if you're in a town that doesn't have and a town that does have, so then you know very clearly, oh, in this town they don't allow Yidden to sign, so therefore a guy's signature works. In the other town they do allow Yidden to sign, so therefore it doesn't work. Yeah, what are you saying?
Wouldn't that be a gzeira anyway? Or this would be Pashut Kol Echad Gzeira?
Why gzeira?
Well, the first gzeira is on the kind of names. The second one would be on the place.
No, but they're two different gezeiras, aren't they?
But it's also up to that.
What do you mean?
Makim she'ein Yisrael chaysmin nami ligzer atu makim she'Yisrael chaysmin.
Right.
So makim she'Yisrael chaysmin is a gzeira, because you might get it wrong. So the makim she'ein Yisrael chaysmin is a gzeira atu that place.
Right.
That's
no,
gzeira.
One gezeira is that the names might get mixed up. The other gezeira, I mean, in both cases, we're afraid that the guy is going to be the Eid Mesira, right? One is
So you're saying
because
kol
of
echad
one.
gzeira.
Yeah, but one is because of one chashash, and one is because of another chashash. I don't know. You want to say kul echad gzeira? Okay, maybe.
That's essentially what you're saying. Two chashashos for the same gzeira.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Say it if you want to say it that way. Fine. Right. Okay. So then the Gemara continues. Ravina savar lachshuri beknufisa da'armoi. Some sort of knufia is a gathering. So there was a gathering of Armenians, which Rashi says he wanted to say that it's kosher, this get, but it's not a get. So Rashi says shar shtoris. It's not referring to get. So any documents that came out of this Armenian gathering, he wanted to be machshir. So Rafram said to him, "Our is tanan." We said that it has to come if you want to get, not a get. If you want documents to be considered kosher documents, it has to come from a court, not from a gathering. Yeah, so therefore it shouldn't work. Fine, that's one thing. Next, Amar Rava, Hai Shtar Parsa, this star from Persia, right? The Masri Neheli Ba'api Sadi Yisrael, and they gave over the star in front of Jewish witnesses. Magbinam Be'mi B'nei Chari. You're allowed to go collect it from B'nei Chari, means from properties that are no liens on them, right? Meaning the guy has property, and he's denying the loan, and then you present with a star that was written by Goyim, but it was given in front of Yidden, then you can go collect from his belongings, but you cannot use it to collect from his belongings that are already sold to somebody else. This is going to come up a couple times in the next week. You have Nechasim B'nei Chayrin, and you have Nechasim Mishubadim. Nechasim B'nei Chayrin is very simple. I owe somebody money, and I have my car sitting in the driveway. So the guy comes and takes my car because I owe him money. Right? But if I just sold the car to somebody else, he can't go to the guy I sold the car to and said, hey, he owed me money before you bought the car, so I'm just taking your car. That you can't do. That needs to be a much more solid loan. So this thing here, that was a shtar written by Persians, that was handed over in front of Yidden, that we say that he can use that shtar to go collect from the guy's belongings. So Gemara says, how could you say that it's a good shtar? Right? They don't know how to read Persian. It's very nice that the two Yidden brought over the shtar. Say, here's the shtar. We don't know what's written in it, but it works, right? So but the other, so my answer is Pashut. It's somewhere where they did know Persian. Where it says, we know that a shtar has to be written on parchment that you can't forge, and you don't, and they weren't makbid on this. So Gemara says, but afitzan, where you did treat it in a way that it can't be forged. Okay, Gemara says, what
are all these kashas? Rava just said that we're basically treating this shtar as a milval peh.
Sort of,
if
yes.
it was being treated as a shtar, then it would be able to take from the Shabbatim. We're treating it as a milval peh. Now we have shtar kashas on it. How do you have shtar kashas on
No, because it
peh?
seems like we're using it as a combination. We're using it as a combination with the Masira and that there was a shtar.
Yeah, but we're only still treating it as a milval peh. It doesn't have any extra dinim of a shtar.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound like we would trust it unless
as a milval peh.
Seems like it. Why not? Then that's a question.
Yeah.
Right? Why isn't it just a milval peh? Because I guess I don't know. I guess they know what's written in it. Yeah. So I don't know. So when I ask, we have this rule that a shtar, you repeat it at the end. At the end, you repeat what was in the shtar, like it's a chazorah. You don't have that. Someone says, but Mahadar talking about where they did. At the end of the shtar, they did go back over it. So Mara says, so then if it's such a legitimate shtar, then you should be able to get from properties that were already sold, that's called mishubadim, that are meshubad to somebody else. He should be able to collect. Meaning, we said he can only use the shtar to collect from lien-free properties. You could even go here if it's such a valid shtar. You could even go get it from meshubad. How do you say meshubad? How do you say it was in English? Lien from creditors, I guess.
Yeah.
With liens, no?
Liens from liens. Yeah.
It's encumbered property.
Oh, I hear that one. If I would have any idea what that means, I mean, I don't put salad in my properties. You know what I mean? So I don't know what that means. Did anybody get that joke?
Okay.
Dr. Zakarowitz, is he a live person? You got it. Yeah.
That encumbered? Is that what you said?
If I'm putting food into
Why do you say
property-
that? Why would only Dr. Zakaris get that for the salad joke?
Because that's his sense of humor. Nobody
No,
else.
you missed it. You missed it. You missed it. Zach, the carrot. Get it? Dr. Zakaris.
there you go, Mama.
Okay, we'll put you in his. You could join his chevra. Very good. Michael.
We
That was
go from
over
one
there.
corner.
That was a good
We're going
sushi
from
Now, Michael. Now I realize I didn't miss you all these weeks.
Now we go from one corn to the next. There you go.
This
Okay.
is putting me into a vegetative state.
Parrots. I don't know if putting in or maintaining. Okay. Anyways.
Time to pull the plug.
Yeah.
Is this halach? This is halach lamaisa, no? A shtar other than get and ksuba could be written in any language as long as the rest of it's kosher.
I think so. I don't know if this is a b'diavad situation or not. Okay. Anyway, so Gemara says less late kala. Gemara says you can't go collect from from encumbered properties. Encumbered, right? Yeah. Right. You can only collect from encumbered property if there's a call to it, meaning it's out there. The hak is out there. If the hak is not out there, then you can't. Meaning the point is that if people are aware of it, so a guy knows, oh, you're buying a car off this guy, you better watch out. He has a lot of debts, and they're going to come after you for the debts. So you shouldn't have. You took the risk of buying the car from him, right? Fine. So Bamine Reish Lakish made of Yochanan. Reish Lakish has the Kash from Yochanan. On Talmud Beis now. Eidim hachasuman ala get. If Eidim sign on a get, ushmaisan kishemas oivdik echavim, and their names are the names of goyim, mahu. But you don't know. But the bottom line is, we don't know are they goyim or not. Yeah, meaning, it's like a quasi-Jewish name. So we don't know. Maybe this guy's a Jew that signed on the get, maybe not.
This is because we don't know, or even when we do know that it was a yid.
We
The
don't
problem
know.
is it's shemesh ein muvhakin. So even if it is
Right.
a yid, you have a problem. Maybe it's an issue, even with a yid signing. Even when we know it's a yid.
Why should it be a problem if it was a yid?
How far do we go with shemesh ein muvhakin?
I don't know. I mean, the way the Rashi says it, lo yodin ani avdei kachavim, and we are Yisrael. We have no idea.
Rabbi Watzko says he suspects it's Avdei Kachavim.
Well, but I'm saying, well, we don't know,
Then
right?
what's the shaila? We said even according to Rabbi Lazar, it doesn't work for shemesh ein muvhakin. What's the shaila?
Yeah. So if you look in the Tosfos, in that long Tosfos, in there he says because goyim don't usually sign on Gittin, right? They don't usually sign it. Meaning, it's one thing if you know that they signed, fine. Then there's a question of whether they were going to allow it or not. But here, they sign on a get, but they use the fellow that handled these printing the halacha PDFs that was sent out in a much nicer thing. He's a Sephardi. His name is Guy. I know him for years as Guy. Guy is his name. I always thought that was
Abba Novak's name is Guy. No.
Yeah, but that's his English name. This guy's name, his Lashon Kodesh name is Guy. I always thought it was right. I always thought it was his English name. No, that's his name.
It's an Israeli name. I know another
Yeah,
guy.
You know another guy. Another guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Two
Is his
guys.
last name Salmavis?
Very
Oh
good.
my God.
Dr.
It's
Zakarowitz
okay.
even didn't like that one.
Isn't that
Okay.
Gates, Elmo?
It's Nogea today. When the Jews, before they were able to leave Russia, the parents in Russia gave their kids like the Russian names, so that if the Russians like wanted to persecute them, they had names like Slava and Yuri and like all these Russian names. And now that when they come here, they get called up to the Torah with those Russian names. They don't have Jewish names.
They never gave him Jewish names?
I mean, that's it. Like it's
Interesting.
Slava-
Okay, so that's
Slava,
so
then
that-
Yuri.
so that's mamish this case now. So a guy signed, you get a get that's signed by whatever these names that Avi just said, right? So are we choshed that they're goyim that signed it or they're yidden that signed? That's the Gemara Shaila, right?
good example.
So Amar Lei, so he said to him, Loi bali yodenu ela Lucas velus. The only ones that came into our hands of that are goyish names, it was Lucas and Lus. V'chshirana when we mattered it, right? V'dafka Lucas velus the loy shrichi Yisrael the maski b'shmasayim. And dafka Lucas and Lus that's not so common that goyim that you didn't go with those names. Avol shmasa achrini the shrichi Yisrael the maski b'shmasayim. But other names that it's common for a yid to be called by that, then the get is no good.
Why?
Well, because there's a gezerah, because we're afraid that if it's gonna have names that you might think are Jewish, you might end up using them for the Eidei Mesira, and then the get, meaning the only reason why the get's kosher is because we go with the Eidei Mesira, right? So since the Eidei Mesira are the main part, so we don't really care who signed on the get. But if they're going to be, there's a chashash that we think that there was Yidden signing on the get, then we're afraid that we're going to use them for the Eidei Mesira, and therefore it's no good. Right?
Isn't Lucas one of the names? Do we have the end of Sukkah? What are Basia? Whatever.
Yeah,
name
she
is,
calls them
called
Mizbeach
Eibishter.
Lucas.
Lucas.
She calls them
Lucas.
Mizbeach Lucas, yeah.
I don't
Right.
remember that. I don't remember.
Lucas had Masai
Oh,
something.
yeah,
Michel
yeah.
Yisrael.
Yeah.
So if they're the way 80 Messiah, so what?
No, that's the Iker. Eidei Mesira is the Iker.
Yes.
So therefore, when the Eidim that hand over the get, that's the main
they
thing.
have to be Jews, no?
They are Jews, but the chashash is if the Eidim on the get are goyim, you might end up. It's very easy to use the Eidim that signed on the star as the Eidei Mesira. So if they're goyim, if they're vadei goyim, we're not concerned you're going to use them because you know that they're goyim, then they can't be kosher as Eidei Mesira. But if it's a suffix, whether it's a Jewish name or not, then we are afraid. Happens to be right. We know those who know don't know that a fellow Baruch Hashem he's chayzer b'tshuva already, but he married a guy for a shtickle tkuva, and he had a kid who's obviously not Jewish, and the kid's name is Lucas. Right, kid's name is
I was going to
Lucas.
tell you, Tiago, you know a Yiddish father who named the kid who's not Jewish, and his name is Lucas.
Yeah. There was Yeah. a famous movie called Lucas. The guy's name is Lucas. Okay, fine.
I never saw it.
Oh my goodness. Such young people I'm in the shield with. Nobody said Lucas McCain, the rifleman. No.
Hey,
We
what are
were
you
all
gonna do?
thinking George Lucas and Luke
Lucas
Skywalker.
McCain, Rabbi Yaakov, for you, just so you can have someone the actor who played Lucas, the rifleman, Chuck Connors, he played Major League Baseball for the Cubs. And the opening night in Boston Gardens, in practice, he tore down the backboard. They had to wait the first game ever in Boston Gardens. They had to take an hour or two. They had to get a new backboard. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, how did he do that?
I don't know. I guess he's a pretty strong
Chuck
guy.
Connor.
Was he able to
Chuck
sign
Connors.
on a get? Was he able to sign on the get?
He never claimed to be a Yid.
Okay.
His name was Chuck Connors.
I said, yeah.
Yeah. The mamish. This is mamish. I feel like I'm on Jeopardy or in a New York Times crossword puzzle over here.
He was the answer to a lot of Jeopardy questions, Chuck Connors. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what he did. Look at what he did. No?
There you go. Okay. Right. So Esvei. So they asked the kasha. Gittin aboim medina sayam. So a get that comes from overseas. Veidim chasuin aleim, and then there's eidim on it. Avapisha shmeisein kishemus avdi kachavim. Even though their names are like Goyish names, Ksher and they're kosher. Why? It makes Shiroi Yisrael Shabachutz Laretz. Shmeisein Kishemes Avdi Kechavim, because roiv of the names that are in Chutz La'aretz, meaning most Yidden in Chutz La'aretz go by non-Jewish names, right? So that's a steer because Rabbi Yochanan said that the only way you're going to be matter the get is if it's Vadai Goyish names, right? Because then you're not going to get confused, right? So it's a stira. So Hasan Tani time of Nesharoy Yisrael Shemachutz La'aretz Shmeisein Kishemes Avdi Kechavim. There, the reason is because roiv of the Yidden's names are in Chutz La'aretz, meaning roiv of the Yidden have goyish names. So we could assume on a roiv that the Eidim were legitimate Eidim. But in Eretz Yisrael, it's not like that. So in Eretz Yisrael, right, then you have.
It's not because of a roiv.
What is it then?
Roiv is still goyim.
No, but the roiv of whose signatures this could be from.
The pool is still roiv goyim. But because
then what's the
roiv
pshat?
Yisrael, we don't have a choice. What choice do you have?
Well,
Roiv Yisrael have goyish names. So everyone who signs on a star is going to have a goyish names. You don't have a choice of ein mufakin.
well, but
What are you supposed to do?
Okay, I understood it more that it's a roiv. Okay, but you want to say it's not a roiv because we're going basa roiv, that roiv names that even sign with this name. Oh no, you're right. It can't be a roiv.
It's not. Yeah.
Because it's still going to be roiv goyim. Right, I hear what you're saying.
Most of the Jews use these kinds of
Right,
names.
but that's not a. But if you stay with, but still the majority of those names are goyim. That's what Gersh is saying.
Signing Gittin.
That's true. So that's what he's saying. It's but the roiv of the people who sign Gittin are Yidden,
Right.
even though they have goyish names.
Correct.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Right? It's the same thing as he's asking the same as the Brisa. And he said pshat from the Brisa. Right? Which basically what it's saying is that he was asking him, the Reish Lakish was asking Rabbi Yochanan was the same thing that the Brisa said. And then he said the teretz, the same teretz as the Brisa, that the roiv of Yidden and Chutz La'aretz go by non-Jewish names. Okay, so the Mishnah. Ha'omer 10 gets ele ishti. Oh, so before we start the Mishnah, we have to say there's a rule called Zachin la'adam shaloi b'fanav, right? Which is that you're allowed to be mezaka in something for somebody else, even if he's not there, if it's only going to be good for him. Meaning, they come around, they say, we're giving out $100 gift certificates for free. So a guy says, oh, my friend's not home. Do you mind if I take one from my friend? You say, any strings attached? No strings attached, just take it. So Avada, you can go be kind on behalf of your friend because there's no loss. There's no loss to the friend, right? But what happens if they say, no, you get the $100 gift certificate, but you have to go fill out an online form, saying whatever, a poll, right? So then you can't do that for your friend because your friend says, don't take me the money and don't me b'shabbat be to this type of thing, right? So if it's zachin l'adam shalai b'fanav, meaning if it's a schus, then it's good. You ain't chavin l'adam shalai b'fanav, but you can't do it as a chiyuv, right? So what happens if somebody gives over a get to a shliach, right? So now, and that to give a get to the wife, and then halfway through he decides that he doesn't want it. Can the guy say too late? I decided that instead of being your shliach, I decided I'm going to be the shliach I'm your shliach too. And I decided I'm going to be the shliach for the wife, and I was kind of the get on her behalf. Or do we say no? A get is not a zchus. A get is a chiyuv, right? And maybe it doesn't work. Meaning, so basically, the Gemara's Shaila, the Mishnah Shaila is going to be, is a get for a woman and a shtar shikhr for an eved. Is that a good thing for them to go free, or is it a bad thing for them? Right? So let's see. So Omer 10 gets ele ishti.
Completely good.
Right. Meaning you have to balance out because there's pros and cons with everything. Right? So Omer 10 gets ele ishti, v'shtar shikhr zel avli. If he wants to go back on both of them, he could go back. Meaning until the get and the shtar to the eved are given, handed over, he has the right to He has the right to take it back. Meaning, so basically what he's saying is that the shliach can't say that I was already zeichen it for them, right? Because it's a chayv. According to Rameir holds it's a chayv for them. It's a bad thing for them to be divorced. It's bad for her to be divorced.
So
It's
she
bad
wanted to
for
get
the
divorced.
Eved to be what?
Let's say they both wanted to leave. The wife wasn't happy; she wanted to leave, and the Ebed wasn't happy; wanted to leave. Why isn't that zachen? Why is that?
Okay, so we'll
Why is
have
that
to see. Right, so we'll have to see. But Rameir is holding that it's a chayv. The Chum say by Gittin Nashim you could he can go back because it's chavin. But not by an Eved start. Because we could be zayich for a person when he's not there. And we can't be mechayev only in front of him. Why is that? Because if a person decides that he's not feeding his servant, his Eved, he's allowed to say that. But he's not allowed to stop feeding his wife. Right? So Memela, since he's mechuyev to feed his wife, so then the wife, when she gets divorced, is losing out on this support. So Memela, how can this Eved say, "Oh, I decided to take the get on behalf of the wife"? She's going to say, "What are you doing to me? I never asked you to do that."
Didn't we have a case a few receptors ago where someone fed someone's wife and he didn't have to pay him back?
The what?
He didn't have to. Someone fed someone's wife.
Right, he didn't have to pay him because
Yeah. Pay him back
You're
with
talking about in
nobody.
Yivamis.
Yeah, and Yivamis from Medina when he went
Yeah,
Medina Sayyam, yeah.
Yeah, very
Isn't
good.
that a contradiction to what you just said?
Yeah, that's what we said. That they said we say that. Who asked you to do it?
Doesn't have to pay back.
That's
She
not
doesn't.
because the husband doesn't have a chiyuv to do it. That's because the guy who gave it doesn't have a chiyuv to do it.
We say to him,
Husband
nobody
wasn't-
asked him. Who asked you to do it?
Even though the husband wasn't doing it, he did his skiing for him. That doesn't.
Yeah, that's what we had at Shver. It's a good sushta. You remember that? That's very good. But that's he. Yeah,
I
he
mean,
did.
because it bothered me.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah, it's a good aura. Fine. So Amar Lahem. So he said back to them. Yeah. Rameir said to them, "Barei hu paisalis avdim min truma." But what's he doing? How can you say that it's zachin? It's zachin for an evet to go free, but he can no longer eat truma, right? Shame. Aaron, mute please. Aaron Kaplan, mute please. Yeah. So who paisalis avdim min truma? He parceled himself from truma, meaning the evet once he frees the evet, he can no longer have truma. So that's a chiyuv for him. Kashem shu paisalis ishtay, meaning the same way he parceled his wife from no longer eating truma. So the evet also doesn't get it. So that's a chiyuv. So why do you say that it's a positive thing to be able to accept the get for the husband for the evet? That's because why can an evet eat truma? Because he's owned by the master, right? So that has nothing to do. That has nothing to do with whether the guy really is entitled to truma and you're taking it away from him. Right? That's not the case. The case is he has truma because the kohen owns this evet. Right? If once he no longer owns the evet, so that's gone. But it has nothing to do with something that actually he's not taking anything away from the evet. He's stopping a bonus. Right? So therefore, it's not it's not considered a schus. Right? Okay. So Yosef.
It's actually when you the Eved can eat truma, that's a benefit to the owner. The benefit to the owner is I don't have to get him dog food from the store. I can give him some truma, and the truma I got for nothing anyway. So that's a benefit, not for the. No,
Dead like a true kohen, Rachamim. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Like a true kohen that saves a lot of money on feeding a lot of animals.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if they have a baby bottle from Truma that he was doing the other day. Yeah. All right. So Yosef Rav Huna Rav Yitzchak Bar Yosef Kameder Rav Yirmiyah. Yosef Rav Yirmiyah become a namne. Right. So Rav Huna and Rav Yitzchak Bar Yosef was sitting in front of Rav Yirmiyah, and Rav Yirmiyah was falling asleep. Yosef Rav Huna v'Ka'amar. And Rav Huna sat and said, Shema minami de Rabbanon. We hear from the Rabbanon who say that Eved works and Isha does not work. Hatoifis lebal chayiv kana. So now they're going to stretch what's said in the Mishnah to a different thing, that if you grab something from a bal chayiv, then you're kainah. Meaning, you know that your friend is owed money by somebody and the guy's not paying him back. So you go into his house and you took money on behalf of that friend. So he's saying, so that works, right? So where do you see that from our Mishnah? Because the slave didn't tell the shliach. The shliach went and decided, I'm going to be, he was really hired by the owner, right? And the owner was going to free the slave, right? Then this guy decides, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to become the shliach of the slave. And I'm going to take that shtar and be kained from the shtar. Right? And we say, the Rabbanon say that works, because that's zachar l'adam shalei b'fanav. Now, when the owner decides to backtrack, we say he can't do it, because this guy already did it, he already received it. Right? Now, how can that be? Because it must be that this shliach voluntarily went and took something that was owed to the Eved and grabbed it from the Baal. And you see that it works. So that's what they wanted to bring a proof. As even if he takes it when it's chavla acherim, meaning he goes into the house and he rips off whatever it is that he rips off from the guy who owes the debt. And the guy says, no, you can't take that. I owe that to somebody. Right? So does that work here too? Right? So he says, Amalei in, he says, yeah. So Adahachi Yisar Behu Rav Yirmiyah. In the meantime, Rav Yirmiyah got up. He woke up. Amalahu Dardaki, children, right? Hachi Amar Rav Yochanan, Atayvus Labachai B'Makim Shechal Acherim Loi Kana. He's not kindness, so it doesn't work if this thing that he grabbed is chav to others. Vim Taima, our Mishnah saying, but our Mishnah says otherwise. So Kala Aimer Tnu Kaimer Zechudami. No, because we have this rule that says that if a person gives to a shliach and he says, give this, that's like saying Zachu, be Zaychanit. Right? So therefore, he's not really grabbing anything from the Baal. The Baal told him. When he says the word Tanu, it means to be Zaychanit. So therefore, it's as if the Baal told him, I don't mind you taking my money and giving it to the Eved. Fine. So Amar Rav Chisda, Hatoifis L'Baal Chayv, Machum Shechal Acherim, Banu L'Machlaikis, Eliezer V'Chavra Abanam. This actual concept of grabbing something from somebody who owes money on behalf of somebody else is a machlekes of Eliezer Rabbanan. The Tanan Misha Likud Sapeya is somebody was malaket peya, right? So we did this afternoon, not this exact case, but we were talking about peya. So peya is the corner of the field. That only goes to aniyim. So Misha Likud Sapeya, Ba'amar Hareza Lepleni Ani. I'm taking this peya for an ani, meaning it only goes to aniyim. But an ani's rich friend is walking by the field, or the owner of the field himself says, let me, my friend's not here yet. Let me grab some stalks for him.
Yeah, this is mamish the case of Rus. She took for herself and Nami.
Yeah, but that wasn't peya.
No, she did it. She it wasn't. She waited
till. It was leket and shikha. Also, I think she took it really for herself. I mean, she took too much.
For both. She took for Nami. No, she took Bedavka for herself and Nami.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but she could have taken it all for herself. She just, here, this case is different because here we're talking about somebody who's wealthy. Here we're talking about a guy who's wealthy.
It's the same thing. It's Mamakim Shechav La'acherim. There were other aniyim in the field that wanted it. She took it for someone else.
Is it? Yeah, but maybe there it's okay. We'll see. Let's see the next part. So Misha Liga is a pay of Amar Areza Leplani Ani. somebody's malaket the payah, and he says this is for Pliny that's an ani. Rabbi Eliezer says he is zaycha on it for him. No, he's not zaycha. He has to give it to the first ani. So it seems like that's the machlokes, whether zachin l'adam shalei b'fano. I'm not meaning that you can, where something is really is meshubah to other poor people, you can still take it. Papa. Dilma loihi. Maybe that's not the case. Ad kan loy kamer Rabbi Eliezer hasam. Maybe over there by paya demigud by mafkalu nechase. The nechase. Maybe there's a migu, right? Anybody can really take paya because there's a migu. He could make everything of his hefker. Now he's an ani. Aviani is an ani. V'chazilei, and it's fitting for him. Migu zachilei lenafshei zachil lechavre. And since he can really be buying it for himself, he's zachil to his friend. Aval hacha loy. But here, in a regular case, maybe he would hold that you're not allowed to go grabbing things from somebody because it may be causing pain to others. Fine. Like Rabbanan Hassam, and maybe over there the Rabbanan said that the rich guy cannot get the pay on behalf of the ani. This is like silaket ani, right? That the ani should not. You shouldn't take for an ani, meaning loisalakat loyla ani. You should not be taking it for an ani. So there's a pasuk that says it doesn't work if a rich guy takes the payer for an ani. But here, where it has nothing to do with aniyim, so maybe you'd be able to. So again, when I'm saying that the machlokes by payer, whether you can acquire things on behalf of ani or not, is not the same machlokes. Rabbi Eliezer, so when I ask Rabbi Eliezer, right? Hi, loisalaket my ovid. What does he do with the pasuk of loisalaket? That it has to be done by an ani, right? He's clearly saying you don't have to do it for an ani. So the one answers me, it's warning you that every ani has to also take pay. Meaning, a guy has a tiny little field that's making him no money, so he's going to go to other people's fields and take pay from their fields, right? But that doesn't absolve him from giving pay on his own field. He still has to give pay on his own field. Sort of like we said a couple of days ago, that even an ani is chayiv to give tzedakah. Even an ani who takes tzedakah is mechuyev to give tzedakah. It's the same thing here. Even an ani who is going to collect pay from other people's fields is still mechuyev to give pay from his own field. All right. That's enough for tonight. The Olam should have themselves a good vach, a good zumer, a good zimmer, and yeah. All right. A good one to all. Yeah, all this. Is this officially the sugi of shtaris?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is officially this is the official sugi of shtaris, right?
We're deep into shtaris.
What?
We're deep into shtaris. Yeah.
Yeah. It's